You are watching the USA Cycling Cyclocross Secretary presentation for pre-event planning. The role of secretary is key to the success of an event and is essential to ensuring the results are posted to the right places and in the right manner. The secretary is the right hand of the PCP. Responsibilities are broken into pre-event preparation and race day responsibilities. This section focuses on pre-event. Set up your folders under the main folder in the race on your computer. I prefer to set up a separate folder for each day of racing with the working files underneath those as a secondary subfolder. This section focuses on setting up and preparing your files. We'll look at each of these items individually. The UCI rankings are updated every Tuesday during the season after the first rounds of the World Cup held in the Americas. Rankings should come directly from the PCP, or at the very least, the PCP must confirm that the rankings have been downloaded. Next, we'll take a look at how to download the current rankings.
Go to the UCI website, uci.org. Go to Disciplines. Scroll down and select Cyclocross. Go to Rankings. Scroll down some more to the bottom of the page and you'll see the rankings here. You'll notice that you have race type all, your race category, you can select any of the events that you're going to be having, including there's no women junior ranking because women junior currently are found under women elite. Men U23 are part of men elite, but it will pull them separately. Women U23 are also part of the women elite. Men junior have their own rankings. Mixed elite is for team events and different things like that, and for nations rankings. Then you'll have the season. You can select from any season here, last season or several seasons ago. We want the current season. And in order to download the rankings, you can't just click on individual ranking. It's not going to allow you to download it at this time. This is a fail-safe on the UCI's part. You'll right-click and open in a new tab. So over here, I've got the Men Elite Cyclocross rankings for 2022. I want the most recent rankings. You'll notice that I can download past rankings as well, just to make sure that if you want a different ranking. You always want the most recent rankings. At this point, you can click on Export Rankings and export to an Excel file. You're going to save those rankings into your rankings folder, and I suggest naming them for the category first. So this would be Men Elite, individual ranking, and then also put the current date in the month, day, year format, whatever the current date happens to be, and save. Then go back and download all the rest of the rankings that you're going to need. If you want Women Elite, you'll go and do the same thing for those. Whoops. So here you'll see that if I export the rankings to an Excel file, I get a 404. That's because I actually clicked it on there rather than right-clicking and opening in a new tab. And on this page, most recent rankings for 2022, I can get the rankings, individual rankings. I just select that so that it has the same date on it in the end. Change Men Elite to Women Elite. And you would continue doing the same for any category that you happen to be having.
You might want to pause this video at this time and try practicing downloading a couple of rankings. This section focuses on managing the data of registered riders. Most race directors use bikereg.com for their platform to register riders. You're going to need to get the race director's download login and password in order to access it, or have them give you access to be able to download the data that's preferred. You'll go to their platform and find the specific event that you want. In this case, I've got Rochester Cross. It's a C1, C2 from 2018, just for demonstration. Go to the registration data, down to download reg data. Oops, let's try that again. Download registration data. And we want selected categories. I only want to download the UCI races. In this case, they have them divided out for me, so it's really easy. Sometimes you'll have to find the specific event, especially if you're looking for juniors. They might be buried in there somewhere. In 2018, juniors were not a mandatory part of the event, so there is no junior category to download. I want all dates, all entries, and I've set up a UCI cyclocross download. You can move some of these selected items around if you want. This is the order that they appear in my sheet. There we go. So I have it set up so that it imports directly into my spreadsheet very easily. The items that you really need to have are the license status, because I'm going to check that right away. I have bib number, even though there are no bib numbers assigned, just so that it has all of the same columns. USA Cycling license, UCI code, their age on December 31st for the next year. You'll notice that, as I said, this was a 2018 event, and you want the age as of the World Championships for the next year. If I wanted to find participant information, let's see. This is their current racing age for 2018, but the cyclocross racing age you want as of 2019. Then you'll have the gender, last name, first name, and last name can either be in the form of all caps, which is what I prefer, or just last name as they've put it in. Sometimes they have misspellings or uppercase missing. The team name, the category entered, because that way if I have multiple categories like I have here, I know it's Saturday or Sunday and which event in specific. Country, I believe that's going to be the full country, not the country code. Their email address, so that if I need to contact them, I have their email address, and also the results company emails out, so you want to have that email handy. And the waiver consent. And then save changes, ensuring that it's under a name that you want, or you can save as new and type in a new name to save it as. For the selected sort order, I prefer to have it by last name and then by first name. Actually, I prefer to have it by the category entered, then by last name, and then by first name. Of course, you can adjust any of these in your data after you've downloaded, and then download the registration data. When you save this, you're going to want to save it to your race folder, race name folder. This would be named, in this case, Rochester Cyclocross C1, C2. Save it into the registration file, and I prefer to save it as the registration final. The date of the download, Saturday and Sunday, indicates to me that I have both days downloaded. Make sure that you have this download only after registration has been fully closed. You can do it earlier, but you want to make sure that you get the final data and then save it. And I'll be replacing in this case. Open the file that you've just downloaded And in a CSV format, notice that you might lose some of the filters and that kind of thing that you set up. So I prefer to save it as an Excel file with the same name. And then I'll put in, I like to go into a, whoops. I like to select the area that I have data in and put that into a table. Whether you do this or not is your own personal preference, of course. And I like to see the UCI ID. A couple of items you want to check for, first of all, are these USA Cycling license status. If they're expired, the rider is going to have to be notified. You can send them an email that they need to renew their license before racing. If they have a pending license, the rider again would need to be notified by email to let them know. If you look them up on USA Cycling by their license number, the USA Cycling license number, you can determine whether they're pending because they haven't signed a waiver or they're missing a nationality status or some other missing item. That also needs to be complete before they can actually race on their current USA Cycling license and UCI ID. If there's no status at all, then they're most likely an international rider. If the UCI code is missing, you're going to have a problem, and you're going to have to either, that may be the case especially with juniors where they haven't yet obtained the UCI ID. If they don't have the ID, they're going to have one in order to race a UCI event. The other item you want to check is their age of eligibility. You can just do a quick filter on that. I have all elites here, and looking at this, I can see that all my riders are at least 22 years of age, which is fine. You can't have any juniors racing in elites. You'll need to obtain from the PCP the UCI's event results upload. This is the data ride upload Excel spreadsheet, and that's going to be one of the foundations for working without the other templates. You're going to have this in order to upload to data ride. There are a couple of items you're going to need to find. The competition code. First of all, you're going to have to get their login to data ride. This is my particular login. You'll go to the results. It's either up at the top there or in this section over here. And you'll see I have two different things here that I can go to. I'm going to show you, first of all, if I went to the World Championships, this is just so you can see what a cyclocross event would actually look like. The items you're going to need to find are the competition code, which is up here at the top. That goes into the competition code over here. And the event ID you're going to have for cyclocross, each individual category has its own event ID, and it's under general classification. This is the event code that goes into this second line. So that I can show you exactly what I'm doing and how you can test things out in advance, I'm going to actually use a different competition code. Don't want to mess up the World Championships. So I'm going to copy the competition code from here, go into that field on the spreadsheet and paste it in. Copy, let's go with a stage classification competition code from stage 5, and I'll paste that in there. The race type is individual and cross. It's actually optional. The competitor type, you have a little drop down here. That's going to be A for athlete. It's not a team competition. Points or time, you need to select from the drop down time. These do not work if you just type it in. Document version, select 1. If you are uploading after you've submitted results online, a revision, then you would select an increased document version. Going over to the results tab, we're going to open up our registration sheet. And I prefer to do this just one event at a time, so I'm going to filter this for the UCI Men Elite Saturday event as a first event to do. You're going to copy the UCI code and paste that in. I'm just using Control V as paste. I'm going to need the gender. It's actually easier just to do that. Paste the gender in. The last name and first name. I have to have the country code or it'll throw a lot of errors. And just to make sure that I have one that's wrong here, I'm going to change one of these. I'm going to change this to Australia, it's not on the download. There we go. Change one of those to be an incorrect thing, and to make sure that I have one UCI code that I know is wrong, I'm going to change this O to a 1. Want to make sure that I have an incorrect spelling. I know that there's one already in here that's wrong. And if I throw this as a women instead of men, we'll see how that works. I'm going to save this file as Men Elite Test because it's just a test upload. And I already had that name in there, so I'm going to replace that. And I'll show you what it looks like when we go to upload this. I believe I've got everything in here that I need. Okay, going back to my web browser, I'm going to go into the stage classification. You have entry list, start list, or result list. You want to be in the result list because for some reason, even if you upload it as a start list, not all of the incorrect things show up there. So you do want to try it under the result list. Don't know why some riders have different first name, last names, and you need to know that it's going to take you results when you import them. So we're going to do a test import of an Excel file. Select the file, Men Elite Test Upload. Okay. Race type value is not supported. In general, is not listed on the platform. Well, it used to be. So I'll just change that and leave that out because it is an optional. Save it. Maybe I can go back and import results, select results. Why? Just backing up a little bit. Okay, try it one more time. Excel file, select the file, Men Elite, upload, okay. There we go. You can see that I have a couple of exceptions flagged here, the female and Australia instead of USA. I can change that in my data sheet. If I was using this for results, then this is the sheet that I would actually update. I want to change this to USA, change women to men. This rider, I can look this up on the data ride. I'm going to duplicate this tab and go over to the entry list and look this rider up. And you can see that it says Scott, not Scotty, and the last name is spelled correctly. So I can just change Scotty to Scott. And that one will work, right? Going back to my results tab, Jamie Driscoll is 0. I know that, so I'll just fix that one. I could also go to James Driscoll over here, knowing I have James Driscoll. And here it found James Driscoll. So I know that that's his actual UCI ID. Greg Gonzalez, another one. And he may not have a current license. I don't know. We'll see what comes up there. It's actual Gregory. Where'd he go? And we can continue changing these different riders. Matthieu. Matthieu. In this case, what we have is a reversal of the first and last name. So I can take that, move that over, and type in, I believe that was right. Okay. Matthieu. Okay. Sam O'Keefe is probably Samuel. Or it could be the apostrophe or some other thing. And O apostrophe Keefe, no spaces, Samuel. So I need to change that to Samuel. And it looks like everything else is good. So I would save this sheet as a good upload. Doing a final results import, I can verify that I've made all of the corrections. And it still won't let me really hit submit. It wants me to modify some cells. I don't have any rank or sort order on here. That's going to prevent me from hopefully submitting changes too soon. You don't want to submit changes until you actually have the results in and correct the first time. Now that I actually have the data cleaned up and I know it's all valid, I want to open up the rankings so that I can assign bib numbers. Because I have just the Men Elite, I'm going to open up my Men Elite rankings. And I can do this one of two ways. I can either look up copying and try to search the sheet, paste that number in, look for it, it's not there, and continue down. I know for a fact that the first couple of riders are not here. So if I go all the way down to Dillman, who I know is there, and paste his number in, it's going to come up with a ranking of 82, so I can insert 82 over here. I need to insert 2 columns. I'm going to do it actually here. Insert copied cells. Because I don't want any data validation. I believe it's not on here. Where is it? Just to make sure any value is okay. Okay, so my formula for the rank, I'll put ranking. Rank, whoops. It's going to be equals index. And what I want to index or pull in, the data is actually the rank from over on this sheet. You can see that I'm bringing in the rank, comma. And I want to match the UCI ID, because I know that's unique over here, to the UCI ID on this sheet. And I want an exact match and close parentheses. There are a number that are NA, they're not ranked. I also have a bunch of blank riders down here. I want to get rid of those first. So Shift Command and down arrow and right click, delete table rows. Now I have only the data in this table that I'm working with. I can sort these on this rank. And then for the rest of these, I can put in a random. How do you do a random? This would be random. What I prefer to use is rand between, starting with a number that I know is not going to be over here in the rankings. Usually 1,000 is plenty for the bottom, and the top ranking, one with a whole bunch of zeros. And that will assign random numbers to all of those riders. So now I can assign my bib numbers based on first to my ranked riders. I'm starting with either 1 or 2, depending on what the race director wants, or possibly 100. And I can drag those down. Then I want to start the next unranked random riders at a higher number. So in order to do that, I'm going to filter out first everything except my blanks. And I'm going to sort on random and ascending order. I know they're truly randomized right now. I did give it a different order. And I'm going to put this back to all of my riders so that I can just drag the bib numbers down. I like to leave a gap in case I have day of registered riders, or if I have somehow missed someone's ranking by mistake. So I'm going to start the ranked riders at 20. Usually I start at the next whole digit up, giving at least 5 riders of rankings in between. It's kind of nice for the announcers to have the bib numbers in the order of their rankings. That gives your call-ups the same order for the most part. I skip a number to something that's high enough that I can fill in riders who are missing. And also the announcers know anybody who is not ranked is starting at this higher number. And I can go 20, 21, grab these 2, grab this corner, and fill it on down. So now I have my bib numbers assigned with the riders who come in random order. If somebody registered day of, let's say Dan Sota registers, I would just copy his number in, add him to the bottom. SoeteDaan. His ranking is 10 here. Country is Belgium. And he is men. So the bib number that I'm going to assign him is the next available of the riders that are ranked, which would be 11. But now his call-up order is not right. So day of, I need to make sure that my call-up order is correct. For me, there's a different call-up sheet and a start sheet. And there's a automatic sheet that does this for you, provided you have everything in the right orders. If I just sort them on bib numbers at this point, it's going to put him here. And I can take that line and move him up to his 10th ranking, which is actually the first call-up. And that'll be my call-up list. For the start list, you want it sorted in ascending order just on the bib numbers.